Oxygen utilization is the term that refers to how much your body uses the oxygen that you take in. Oxygen utilization is the single most important predictor of an individual's risk of degenerative disease and premature aging. That is to say that it is not how much oxygen you take in that determines your health, but how efficiently your body uses the oxygen. Scientific evidence shows that no one with 100% oxygen utilization, that is energy coefficient, comes down with diseases. Hello and many thanks for joining us on Health Options. I am Rabi Abdullah. On this episode of the program, we shall discuss the key factors that affect oxygen utilization. The body has a group of antioxidant enzymes that modulate the levels of free radicals in the body. Virtually all doctors and scientists agree that uncontrolled free radicals activity is what ultimately damages the body, causing it to age, break down, and become sick over time. Have you heard of ozone therapy? Make sure you don't miss out on this episode of the program, as we shall also discuss how ozone therapy improves oxygen utilization, hence its growing use as medical ozone in treatment of many disease conditions. You will get to meet my guest in just a moment. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Health Options, and our focus is the ozone miracle and how you can harness the power of oxygen to keep you and your family healthy. With me in the studio to take us through the topic is Dr. John Tor Abide. He is integrative medicine expert and neurotoxicologist. It's good to have you on Health Options discussing this wonderful topic, Dr. Abide.
Always my pleasure, Rabi.
Let's start. Oxygen utilization in the body. I thought we just breathe it in and it's doing what it's expected to do for us in the body.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me start off by emphasizing, just like you did, on the importance of, oxygen in general. Then oxygen utilization is a technical term, which I will also explain, and then bring in ozone. So let's look at the importance of, oxygen. Let's do a practical demonstration. In view of time, can you and I just hold off from breathing for just 60 seconds?
That's for a minute. Okay.
Or for a minute.
Okay.
Now breathe out. How did you feel?
Wow. At some point, it wasn't easy.
Good. You got it all. Because if you were to go beyond that 1 minute, you would notice that you start being uncomfortable. Your heart will start palpitating. You feel like passing out. That is a practical demonstration of how important oxygen is. That is, the air we breathe contains, oxygen. Having said that, let me go ahead and explain this thing. Oxygen utilization is a further step. Now we've taken in the oxygen, which we demonstrated. Now what we're saying by oxygen utilization, even when you take that oxygen and it gets into your body, if the body does not use it properly, it is of no use. It will not do its own job of creating energy for you. That is the main function of oxygen in our body. So this is to say, once you take that, it should get into the blood system and then be delivered into the cell and into the mitochondria, which is the power hub of the cell for energy production, what they call ATP. Because this is so important, because clinically, if you go to hospital, the best they may do, they will test your SpO2 and say that your body has good oxygen, and that figure should be above 95%. That is what they look at. But it's not just enough for your body to have the oxygen. Your body must be able to utilize the oxygen. Hence the term oxygen utilization.
What could hinder one's body from effectively utilizing the oxygen intake?
A number of factors. These days we talk about causes of disease, we talk about toxicity, we talk about free radicals, we talk about malnutrition, we talk about sleep deprivation. All of them will lead to inoperative or improper way of utilizing energy. I mean oxygen. Okay. That's why you say that lack of sleep would cause disease. Let me go a little bit further. Oxygen utilization is affected by two main factors. There's what we call the free radicals production. Free radicals are actually produced from oxygen. Let me not go into details, but they are produced to help the body system, the body metabolism to work properly. But in a situation where they are overproduced, then they become undesirable effect. In modern medicine or integrative medicine, what we do, we actually can measure this, what we call the energy coefficient. And that's why we say that people with oxygen utilization of 100%, they never get sick. That is the difference. In the United States
today. So is it possible for one to have that 100% saturation?
Oh, yes.
And one can actually determine that.
Oh, yeah. We use there's what we call bioenergy testing.
So I could go check my own oxygen
utilization through bioenergy. That is the name of the test. You can Google it. It's called bioenergy testing. Okay. That is what gives you the energy coefficient. So anything good with 100, you see people that has that high energy coefficient, they never get sick. That's to tell you that oxygen is life.
Interesting. It's strange to me. It's not a terminology I'm that conversant with. Ozone therapy. Where does it come in?
Ozone therapy simply improves oxygen utilization. That's why it comes in. Okay. And this is to say that, you see, ozone, let's go into a little bit of, biochemistry, elementary biochemistry here. Oxygen is what you call a diatomic molecule. That means that it has two oxygen atoms, that is O2. Ozone is a triatomic oxygen molecule, that is to say is O3. Because oxygen alone atom is very unstable, that's why it cannot just survive on its own. That's why the two molecules will come together. And once the two molecules come together, they become stable. And that's why you find oxygen, O2, being stable. But O alone is very unstable. However, once you understand that stability with O2, O2 is what we produce ozone from. Ozone is O3. The moment you add that additional molecule to become O3, ozone becomes very, very unstable in the body, and it reacts very, very fast. And that goes towards its beneficial or biochemical, benefits in a series and delivery different, conditions.
I just need you to enlist some of those diseases that could be tackled with that procedure, the ozone therapy.
Very good. Not in any order of importance: stroke, management of degenerative conditions like disease, diabetes, hypertension, HIV/AIDS. Ozone is highly virucidal. That means that it is inactivate viruses and kills bacteria and fungi. And that's why it is used in water treatment. Major world water treatment in the world, they use ozone therapy. Let's continue. In fact, the
what
list...
about cancer?
Cancer too.
You
because what is cancer?
Sickle cell anemia as well.
Sickle cell anemia, cancer. What is cancer? Cancer is nothing but a situation where the cell has, due to lack of oxygen, those cells have now changed into what you call anaerobic respiration. They're able to survive without oxygen. So the moment you give ozone, which is a form of oxygen, the cancer cells cannot thrive. They cannot survive. They start dying. The same thing, ozone also in case of sickle cell, it kind of stabilizes this, the red blood cells, flexibility, and then there's the, the membrane. So the red blood cells are now able to pass through the vasculature, the blood vessels, into the, interstitial tissues by a process known as diapedesis. So that, you see, with that, it stabilizes. The problem with sickle cell is that because the red blood cells are sickled shape, rather than being the typical shape of what concave shape. You see, but ozone will stabilize, the membrane, so that the child does not come into crisis. as often as he would. In fact, we say with ozone therapy, no child should die from sickle cell, or no person, once you maintain that regularity of getting ozone routinely.
So, with the treatment protocols for COVID-19 and all of that, I'm just imagining that it should equally have had a place in it. So, what do you think?
All over the world during COVID-19, Spain, Italy, China, they were using ozone. But for some reasons, in this part of the world, it was not, received. Already I've said that all viral conditions, ozone will inactivate, the virus. Okay. And if COVID is a virus, why can't ozone, inactivate and then inactivate it?
In the course of my research, I came across the anti-aging component of it. Can you let us into it?
It's all falls under oxygen utilization, the efficiency. Why do we age? We had mentioned earlier that the body has a group of antioxidant enzymes that actually stabilize and buffer these free radicals so that they don't cause damage to the cell that leads to disease or even aging. So, if ozone would now mop up these, free radicals and even efficiently supply energy to the cell so that the cell will work and the cell membrane will start rejuvenating and everything about it, you will be full of energy. And actually ozone is also used in anti-aging medicine. When you start taking the ozone, immediate benefit, you get your energy level escalated, boosted, and then you have your,
contrary to those who use enhancement drugs and all of
that. Ozone is
taking narcotics and all of that.
Oh yeah, this is all of it. It's a lack of. Let me tell you one secret. If you go on the internet, you see the royal family has a Royal Ozone Hospital.
You're talking about Britain now.
Britain now.
Wow.
That is what the Queen family uses as anti. Oh yes,
she's ageless.
Oh yes, that's why. Wow. They have Royal Ozone College. Ozone Hospital. That's what they use. So today, ozone is really getting its own use. Actually, ozone was first discovered. Medical ozone was first discovered and used in Germany in 1875. That is to say, over 150 years ago. But this part of the world were just coming to hear about it. The best of the guys here, when you hear about ozone, they say, oh, we know about ozone layer. How does the ozone layer come about? Basically you see these plants and all this thing, they produce oxygen. That is what we use, right? Mm-hmm. Oxygen is left with us here. We cause a saturation. So that oxygen immediately starts reaching the saturating point, it rises up. Once it gets onto the stratosphere, there's about 26 miles up, it encounters the UV rays from the sun. And the UV rays now split that oxygen to form ozone. And that's what forms the layer that protects us from the sun UV rays from coming down. Now, because of proper understanding, they say that, ozone gas is toxic. And they say, ozone gas is not toxic. What is happening, once ozone forms there, and forms a layer to protect, ozone is heavier than air. So it starts descending down. When it reaches down here, then it reacts with moisture and forms peroxides. That is what even cleans the environment. However, with industrialization, with production of what you call hydrocarbons, when ozone comes here, it reacts with these hydrocarbons and forms the nitrates, the sulfur dioxide, and all of them, which are really bad for us. Yeah. And then you are contributing this, but that mixture contains ozone too. And traditionally, to find out what you call smoke, to know how pure or heavy it is, they measure the level of ozone in it and then associate it with, those noxious gases, the nitrate, the sulfur dioxide that causes pulmonary irritation. That is all garbage.
So it means ozone on its own, in its natural form, is just harmless.
It's harmless.
Enhances
well-being. Yes, enhances well-being. If you want to know, we said ozone is a triatomic oxygen molecule that represents life.
Is it possible for it to be deployed where wellness is concerned? Now, I don't have to be sick. I don't have to be HIV positive or have cancer before I could, avail myself of the therapy?
No,
Is
very
it right?
good question. Very
Is
good
it
question.
right?
That is what we call preconditioning.
Okay.
In other words, preventive, but we call it preconditioning ozone therapy.
Okay.
You go in, this is why you got to go to where the guy knows what he's actually doing. The dose that we give for preconditioning, that is to just the maintenance dose, is different from where we are managing a particular disease, condition.
Okay.
There are 23 different ways of giving ozones, and all of them are driven by what we call ozone concentrations. We use different doses. The ozone concentration is measured in units, we call it gamma units. There are cases where I will use 26 gamma for treatment of a particular, ailment, and there is where I will use 55 gamma. Okay. There's where I will use 40 gamma. But I'm not going to tell you which of this. That is my own trademark. But you use 26, you use 40, you use 50, you use all sorts of doses depending on the professional guide or the protocol that has been developed for that particular condition.
Well, viewers will get to see more of how the ozone therapy works in our next segment. On that note, I thank you so much, Dr. Toabide, for making our time to share your knowledge of the ozone therapy, and I hope Nigerians will take note of this option. This critical option in healthcare delivery, and it's a matter of choice anyway.
Yeah.
So people go for what they feel works for them. But as long as it is scientifically proven, I think people should just know what is available and then make their choices. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine. At least we have been able to identify what causes disease and what causes, aging, and how ozone therapy can come in. It is actually an option that you can take. But as you have said, and it is good to know that you have other options. And in integrative medicine, we combine conventional and what we call functional modalities. So and we're able to achieve results. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Having dwelt on oxygen utilization and the place of ozone therapy, our next segment focuses on the practicals of ozone therapy.
We start from this, as you can see very well, this is an oxygen tank. This is medically grade oxygen that is being used in, hospitals on patient. But let me emphasize, for you to produce medical ozone, you must start from medical oxygen, which is O2. You just take it through this tube and then passes it through an ozone generator. And the ozone generator contains a UV light. That is what actually will split the double molecule that binds two oxygen atoms together, make them single atoms. 3 of these single atoms will now combine to form ozone, O3, period. And once you generate and form ozone here, it is passed through a silicon tube, because ozone is highly reactive. If it reacts with metals, it will react with plastics, but the silicon tube is kind of inert. Ozone cannot react with it. So you come here, this is where you collect and harvest your ozone, and a good ozone generator must also come with what we call a destruct, because as you are producing ozone, part of it will escape, and this is a destruct. A destruct simply converts the ozone back to oxygen. What I've done, I've basically connected it, to power, so that I can, demonstrate. So let me demonstrate how we actually do this. So I have connected it. I've turned on my ozone generator, and depending on the protocol that I'm using, I know how much to harvest, that is the concentration of ozone to harvest. I adjust it from this regulator, and then I adjust it from the ozone generator, matching the particular or the how much I want to harvest. For this procedure, I need 25 gammas, so I have to set this thing up here properly so that I harvest only 26 gammas. For another procedure, I require 40 gammas. I also have to come here and adjust it here so that I harvest 40 gammas. There are procedures that I require 55 gamma. I will do it just like that. So once this is adjusted, I know the concentration, then you have to use special syringes. This is not an ordinary syringe. If you see, it is actually siliconized. As I've said, ozone is a powerful oxidizing agent. It will oxidize just like that. So I have to use this siliconized syringe to harvest my ozone. So I'll connect it here like this. And once I get connected, I will now turn my tube on. But before then, you have to make sure you open your tank here so that it is open. I mean, the oxygen is open. Yeah, so the oxygen is now open. Then I come here and then connect like this. See? Okay, I'm now collecting the ozone. You see this moving. That is ozone being collected. You see it moving? This process is very important. Remember, I've set the ozone generator and the regulator at the concentration that I want to harvest. So I'm now harvesting that concentration. You can see the syringe moving up and being filled with ozone. The ozone that actually escaped once again go into the destruct and is converted to oxygen so that you don't fill the room or escape into the room. Now that I have harvested my ozone, it is also very important to use it quickly because the half-life of ozone is 30 minutes. So once I harvest it, by the time I harvest, the patient is ready, then I just go in and give the patient within half-life. If not, you will be using what? Only oxygen. Because what I've harvested here is actually 5% oxygen, 5% ozone and 95 oxygen. Ozone is not a single silver standalone treatment. It does not replace, the conventional ways of doing this. Actually, it enhances the outcome of conventional treatment. Take, for example, it has been shown that if you use ozone therapy along with antibiotics therapy, you even get better results. If you use ozone in combination with other treatment, because it enhances the immunity, it then, as well as its anti-inflammatory effect, you have great benefits. So ozone should be used along with other conventional treatment.
And that does it on this episode of Health Options. A quick reminder that you can go to our YouTube channel to watch the upload of this and other episodes of the program. Email us for your comments and contributions at healthoptions@nta.gov.ng. My name is Rabi Abdullah. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you again.